Hey everyone, it's Jack here, TalkNorwichCity, back for another video. I hope you guys are all doing very well. Back today to preview another Canaries game. David Wagner's side travel to Ashton Gate to take on Bristol City this weekend. I'm really interested to see how this one goes. Before we get into anything, a massive thank you to BetMate for sponsoring the preview content as always. A really exciting new feature on BetMate is that there are free-to-play games. There's actually one this Friday night, so if you're quick, you could jump on that, but they've got them through the weekend as well. It's brilliant. Freebie, nothing to lose. It's a good way to figure out how the game works and also still win some prizes as well. We've got a pot for this weekend's action. It incorporates all of the championship 3 o'clock fixtures. All of the details and how to join that is in the description. BetMate have been brilliant for us this season. I know loads of you have enjoyed it as well. It's a really fun kind of fancy football type app, game by game, loads of stats. I love it. All you have to do is pick a 7-a-side team and play against each other. We'll see you over there. Bristol City then. This is an intriguing one because I think if you were to just look at Bristol City based on league position, I think you'd probably be slightly thrown off there. They're actually down in was it 16th place, I think, at the moment, and similar in terms of form based on just raw kind of points over the past 5 games. But they're actually they've gone unbeaten for quite some time. Last time out, 2-1 win over Preston. They beat West Brom 3-0 in the Cup. Drew against Blackburn, and they beat Swansea away from home. They thumped Birmingham at home. So it's been a while since they've lost. You have to go all the way back to Boxing Day to see the last league defeat. That was against West Brom. They also lost to Stoke on the 17th as well. I think there's been a lot of churn in this Bristol City side, a little bit of uncertainty, and I think inconsistency is probably the word you'd use to describe them this season. But I think any Nigel Pearson side in this division you can't underestimate, and they've got some quality in that side. So inconsistency with Bristol City, and you could probably say the same about Norwich City, although the away form hasn't actually been too bad this season. I think we sit 4th in the league in terms of away form. It's been the home form that's been a real concern for Norwich, and it's difficult to know exactly what you put that down to. You probably, if you're trying to pluck anything out of the air, it's the fact that I'm not even sure if there's necessarily a home advantage for Norwich this season. You saw it, a little bit during lockdown where there was no fans, and you could kind of take that element of home advantage away. I think the kind of toxic atmosphere around the place this season hasn't helped things at all. We've seen even when we've gone ahead in games, there's been kind of a reluctance to get too carried away because it could sort of turn at any moment, and I don't think that helps anyone. David Wagner was kind of asked that question today. He said, well, what's the difference between home and away? And he said, well, it's nothing to do with kind of the way that we set up for the matches. So you have to be looking at the kind of atmosphere around the place. But we are away from home this weekend, and that's a positive if you're looking at form. But also, it's difficult to know where Norwich are as a side because you've got the bulk of the season under Dean Smith. You kind of don't want to look too much into that because even the big winning run was slightly skewed with performance levels. And then the David Wagner era so far, you've seen 2 brilliant away wins, equally very kind of contrasting performances. The one against Preston felt relatively controlled and we kind of bossed that game. Coventry, we were 3-0 up in 20 minutes, then it was 3-2, and then we controlled that second half. And then the game against Burnley, well, we didn't even really get a kick. We were so far off it. But do you put that down to Burnley just being brilliant? I think, the saying it's never as good as it seems and it's never as bad as it seems is probably applicable to this David Wagner side. I think there's real quality in here, and I think David Wagner's the right man to take us forward. But the next few games for Norwich now will really kind of show us where we are. It's Bristol City tomorrow. You've then got Hull at home on Valentine's night, Wigan away, Birmingham at home, Cardiff at home, Millwall away, Sunderland at home, Huddersfield, Stoke. So you're probably looking at the next 8-10 games expecting to pick up points in all of them. Now, whether we do that is a whole nother matter, and you'd probably say, based on what we've seen this season, it's unlikely we do pick up a large number of points. But if we want to finish in the top 6, you target, I think, the next kind of 8 games as being the ones that you probably need to do really well in, because you look at the fixtures near the end of the season, you've got West Brom in there, you've got Middlesbrough in there, you've got Sheffield United in there. It starts to get a little bit trickier in that final kind of batch of this of the season. So Wagner's got his work cut out. I'm not 100% whether he knows his best starting 11. I don't think Dean Smith quite knew it either. It feels like, to me, a relatively unbalanced squad. It feels quite kind of top heavy, not too much in the middle of the park. I was watching Connor Southall talk about what he expects the team to be like this weekend, and it's probably going to be relatively similar. He was saying the kind of the player he expects to maybe drop out is Onel Hernandez. I wouldn't be surprised. The name he suggested to come in kind of intrigued me, but the more I think about it, the more I like the idea of it, and that was Marcelino Núñez. Now, the way that Wagner's kind of set up that attacking lineup isn't, you wouldn't say, orthodox. You've kind of got Sargent playing in a slightly different role. You've got Kieran Dowell playing really advanced. And you've had Onel Hernandez, who of course we know is, all-out attack, a typical winger, you would say. When Marcelino Núñez came on against Burnley, yes, it didn't really change the game per se, but he was a lot more buzzy. He was finding those passes that Hernandez wouldn't do and wouldn't be expected to do. But if you can get the likes of Núñez or Marquinhos or Christos Jolis operating in those positions and operating well, then you've suddenly got loads of different, capabilities of who you can use. At the moment, it feels slightly limited. So it'll be really intriguing to see what he does with that front four. At the moment, it seems like Pukki's undroppable, and I'd probably say that's the right call. Sargent, the same, although I think his performances maybe need a little bit more, and I'm still not sure if he's being played in his proper position. I think Kieran Dowell has also been undroppable based on recent games. So that will be fascinating. I think the defensive line probably picks itself, barring that of left back, where Giannoulis or McCallum I think is still up for debate. I would probably be leaning towards Giannoulis, but based off his performance at Coventry, the argument could be with McCallum. I think the centre-back pairing is still Big Andy and Grant Hanley. I think the criticism for most of the players has been warranted this season. I think it's been slightly unjust on Grant Hanley, who I don't think has been too bad at all. And the one that will really be up for grabs is the goalkeeping position. It looks like Angus Gunn will be back and will be fit, but I'm not sure if he's going to drop Tim Krul based on the comments he made in his press conference today. He said that Tim's had a brilliant week of training. He hasn't let the mistake against Burnley affect him. And you just sense that this could well be last chance for saloon for Tim Krul. I think if he's dropped, it would be a huge statement. Equally, I don't think Wagner's afraid of that. But I think that there's something about Krul that he really likes. I think he likes the experience. He's commented that he's an international footballer. He's more than capable with the ball at his feet. If I was Wagner, I'd be picking Angus Gunn. Equally, you probably do get the argument based around Tim Krul. I think that will be the position that causes controversy when the team lineup comes out at 2:00 on Saturday. So lots to think about, and this is a really intriguing game. It comes at an interesting time for Wagner. He's had 4 games now. There's been a couple of wins. There's been a disappointing performance in there. You now want this side to really kick on. You want Wagner to figure out his best 11, and you're looking at the next month or so and feeling like it's a really big opportunity for this team. I'm not as confident as some. There's something about Bristol City that just scares me a little bit. Equally, the 2 away performances so far, I was feeling the same about Coventry. I thought they'd pose a big threat, and I thought Preston would be a bit of a threat as well. I'm confident, I'm looking forward to it. I'd just say take Bristol City the more than just their league position, because I think they're better than that. Hopefully we win. Thanks very much for watching. Remember, BetMate, the link to join is down in the description. You can get some free bets as well if you follow that link, and there's also free pots on there. So if you don't fancy putting your own cash up for grabs, why not try one of the free pots? Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you all again very soon. Bye-bye.